Chapter 5. No force of nature or creation could stop time from moving. Despite my best efforts to lie on the floor in just my undershirt and boxers after I cooled down from my trip, the sun came up. Tomorrow was here. I had to accept that. My body had taken a hit from my joyride. Chills ran down my arms, any action to move adding hard to my gravity. My stomach was possessed by a hunger so powerful that it came alive on its own, attacking any food I had the strength to get from the kitchen. Although the flavors danced on my taste buds, everything tasted the same. After calling into work for 2 days, I camped out on my bedroom's wooden floor, its dust covering over me like a thin coat. My downtime was spent staring up at the ceiling fan. It swirled endlessly, but didn't solve my problems, a reflection of my mind. Although I didn't know how to stop the aching doubt crushing my heart, I knew I had to get up and begin again. An idea was forming. It was a start, and that was what I needed, all I could muster. Everything was a huge physical undertaking, but I swore to myself that I wanted to never make my goddess stare at me with deep sorrow ever again. If I ever got lucky to see her again.
That was very sweet of you to do, Mr. Ragnar.
The endearing smile of Marisha as she held the dozen fresh pink tulips I brought over to her place was a lovely contrast to her sickly pale face and how bad I still felt in my core. You know you can call me Frankie still, Marisha, if you want to. My voice faded with shame, my eyes automatically looking at my wiggling feet. I wanted to get them for you, as my friend. It's the least I could do. My actress gave me a tender grin, understanding shimmering in her pale blue eyes. Her red hair fell limply on her pure white pillow, matching her cloud-hued nightgown and creamy bedspread and canopy. She looked good to me, and I felt small, shrinking with each passing second that ticked by in her perfectly tidy, spacious room.
Frankie.
She said my name in a whisper, but it boomed, making me nearly jump out of my skin. As I awaited her next words, Marisha leaned forward, compelling me to look right at her.
I heard from my agent about the clause in my contract after I came home to recover. At least Madame Ragnar made it private and didn't tell the press.
She snorted.
One saintly thing, I guess. But what the committee said is true to a point. I was sickly as a kid, and I had to withdraw in the middle of a TV series when I was a tween due to sickness for a major company, and it caused the whole department a lot of issues, and my mother, myself, and agent a ton of stress. I'm shocked Paramount dug that up after 20-plus years for a secondary role, but I guess I was a risk.
This kind soul giggled, shrugged, and covered her mouth.
I agree, it's not cool, but I know our team and my darling fans support me. I'm still pretty weak, so I will be your biggest cheerleader through my social media. You are going to go far, Frankie. Don't let anyone shove you down, or this girl will be severely disappointed.
She winked and wagged her finger at me, cuddling her bouquet. I strode over to her, nearly bowing at her feet, a knight before his princess. Carefully, I lightly kissed her hand, overwhelmed by how she handled everything. She would never know how she saved me. Perhaps I had more than one goddess. Thank you, Marisha. You are a treasure. We exchanged a small look of gratitude and friendship, an understanding only those in our profession could ever share. I lifted my head, feeling a hair lighter than a ton of bricks, but before I could fully turn, she clasped onto the back of my sport coat. I blinked, confused, and stared at her.
By the way, Frankie, you look pretty fantastic in this forest green suit. A special occasion?
She arched her eyebrows playfully. I could tell I was entertaining Marisha, but it made my cheeks heat up. I folded my hands together, twiddling them before I answered. Honestly, I just grabbed it from the back of my closet. I'm not sure why exactly, other than to look decent for you.
Well, I think it's a sign that you are going to make something good happen.
Her beam was warm and reassuring. How I wished I could protect the innocents who just wanted to show the beauty of the art of acting. Feeling melancholy, I hopped down the stairs of her lovely white marble townhouse into the blinding late morning sun, the smell of roses wafting around me. Heading up the street and to the right, I ended up on the long stretch that began a classy tourist avenue with lines of shops, eateries, and attractions. A circus of colors reached towards the sky, the sounds and sensations that only California can give shining through, welcoming my watered-down soul. After passing lovely bronzed ladies with two big shades holding massive shopping bags with designer labels, rollerbladers punking it up, and vendors bellowing for attention with treats, sweets, and bright balloons yearning to escape, I traveled to the middle of the long road, people materializing from side streets out of nowhere. Businesses in thick, tall, gray, and cream-colored buildings guarded a large square crosswalk where people clustered while I went through the motions. Colors danced in front of me as I avoided them the best I could, but it became difficult. Blues shrieked in front of me. Reds and yellows blabbed as voices mumbled. A green to my right jogged in the corner of my sight. The world moved along, doing its thing, still too fake to be considered real.
Oof. Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
I had suddenly halted, tripping back a few inches as I bumped into something. It took me a second to register that I had collided with someone, and they had apologized in the sweetest voice. This was what pulled me from my funk. I somehow knew that voice. It sent prickles all over my entire body. Slowly, I looked down to get a quick glimpse of what drew me in. Stunning ocean blue eyes and flowing light chestnut hair. Before I could relish the possibility of dreaming, the girl turned and began to walk forward once more, another dot in the crowd. The same crowd that was shoving me around like a pinball because my body was in shock. No. My mind began to scream and panic. No. I had to go check. I had to reach her. A bolt of energy zapped me, sprinting me ahead, keeping my line of sight on the fuzzy hot pink blob that was her shirt, her long hair whipping behind her gracefully. People gawked at me like I was a madman as I yelled while dodging them, but I didn't care. I had to see if it was true. It couldn't be that she was really here. Wait! I howled into the wind, my voice hoarse, but somehow I was able to graze her shoulder. Pausing, the girl fate had made me encounter turned slowly to gaze up at this fella she probably thought was insane. I panted, taking her confused look into the depths of my soul. It was her. Truly the spitting image of my goddess. The girl I yearned to be real. This vision was just as my dreams painted. About 5'6", creamy skin with sparkling, youthful, but wise eyes as blue and hypnotic as the ocean. As they observed me closely, endearingly, I took in her adorable nose and ears, light pink lips, and long, silky brown hair that reached to the top of her hip bones. Her hot pink button-up shirt and black dress pants made her look cute and professional, easy to talk to like I knew she was. My heart began to race a mile a minute, excitement, longing, and shock coursing through me. But after I didn't say anything for a few seconds, while I was in my own little wonder world only I could apparently see, I guess it was creepy to her. Understandable. She gave me a strained, nervous grimace, looking at the hand I had on her shoulder.
Can I help you, sir?
Her voice was so darling and charming, I wanted to fall into her arms. But even I was aware enough to know that might not look good on the streets. The prospect of all this had me in awe. My prayers must have been answered when I needed them most. But her eyes only showed polite fear, and the unknown fear was getting stronger. Do you know who I am? I hopefully inquired. As I blurted this out, I began to feel desperate, my other hand clapping on her free shoulder as I leaned in closer. It was apparent she was close to running with how tense she felt under my fingers. This vision before me gave me an honest look over, taking my question to heart. God love her. But to my dismay, she shook her head and partly shattered my hope.
No, I'm afraid not. I'm sorry.
Lightly, she brushed off my hands. I felt lost.
Good luck to you. Bye now.
With that, she walked again into the cluster of expressionless faces. My head was spinning, on overload, wanting to shout from the mountaintops and shut down at the same time. I felt like I might vomit right there on the sidewalk. My goddess was real. Or at least, she had a doppelganger. It was too good to be true, but I needed it to be true. I had to find out. So I did the only thing that a dumb motherfucker would do that wasn't spooky at all. I followed her, driven by the blind desire to discover the truth. On a mission, I ventured forward, the highway of people slowly blinking out of existence, leaving the rest of the street quiet and quaint. From a side room on the right, I saw the earthly form of my goddess emerge from a gray door. She exited another door on the left. I watched her turn left up the sidewalk, the wind tangoing around her elegantly. I counted to 5 in my head before thanking the ladies at the counter, resisting the urge to sprint from the library after her. Another spell of crazy, and I was pretty certain the nice people in the white coats would be called. The journey led me back to the main strip, the lingering smell of cafes and dining establishments tantalizing with each step. Shadows melted into nothingness, and the sun slashed its way through, the transition so effortless it had me in awe. I lurked in plain sight, the richness of her shirt burning into my vision. Everything was rosy. She was my rose, beautiful, colorful, full of love and passion, and hard to get close to at first. Chic, modern square buildings lined the spacious streets, the walls made of clear windows that allowed everyone to see the world inside. A peek at the high, fake life. That was why, when she turned left at the Bar Verde attached to the Nordstrom, I was a bit surprised. Bratty aspiring actresses in casual clothes that were 4 figures, stuffy business folks, and foodies visiting to take selfies with their plates usually filled the lunch space. I was momentarily distracted, not sure where I had ended up with the streaming brightness and high open ceiling, but then there she was, sitting alone at a small black table smack in the middle of the restaurant, a fair, natural flower in an overly manicured garden. Butterflies flapped hard in my stomach as I watched her. With her doe-like eyes, she scanned the room before lowering her head as she sat like a proper lady. Quickly and with flair, a well-dressed server offered her a plate of what looked like a grilled chicken sandwich with a small bowl of soup. Seeing her by herself in such a normal setting, cutely blowing on her steaming spoon, the urge to be near her grew so strong, I forgot all the protocols. Driven, I briskly walked over to her, feeling the wind I created rush around me. I didn't stop until my knees bumped the chair opposite her, the obstacle making me lean forward with a toothy grin I felt forming on my face. As I caught myself, my insides twisted up and my heart throbbed with excitement, absorbing her mouth slightly agape. Her stunning eyes somehow were getting larger, too. She was frozen, her spoon halfway in the air, the other hand twitching on the table. Lord, I really am going to have the authorities out to get me. Well, go big or go home. Hi. The words popped out of my mouth with too much zeal, like a bomb went off. We both jumped at the sound. Then she simply nodded with mechanical movements, placing her spoon down, her fingers now creeping to the back of her chair. Yep, there's the phone reach. I'm sorry, I exclaimed again, almost pleading. This made her stop and look up at me. Sweat began to trickle down my neck. I willed the beads to die, not wanting to be disgusting on top of weird. I inhaled, then tried again. Third time's a charm. I apologize. I was the one that bumped into you earlier, and I chuckled in a huff, flattening the back of my hair with my hand. Now I was having trouble looking at her, sounding like a nut. I couldn't stop thinking about you. I felt my knees craving to buckle, but luckily I was still leaning on the chair for support. My neck felt too heavy as I struggled to gaze at this divine creature. I braced my muscles, waiting for a bystander to tackle me, for my darling to stab me with a fork as she screamed bloody murder, or for the press to catch me looking like a stalker. Seriously, I was stunned that last one hadn't happened yet. Or at least one employee hadn't asked about me as a customer. Rude service. Yet, her answer almost made me fall like a plank on the floor.
I didn't realize that line was used outside of movies.
Our eyes met, mine becoming saucers. But I was pleased to see her giving me a smile, slightly awkward in nature. Pure laughter erupted from me, relief flooding my system. The tension that had been buzzing began to disappear. She motioned to the seat across from her that had become my crutch.
Would you like to sit down?
The invite was tender with well intent, although it had some nervousness in it. I grabbed at the offer so swiftly I almost knocked the chair over, my hand catching the back of it at an odd angle. Somehow I sat, trying to collect myself to look suave and professional like at meetings. Hunky meets business. It was a major stretch. You don't think I'm crazy? I kindly inquired, bemused. She shrugged, aimlessly looking around the populated eatery.
Well, there are a lot of people here for witnesses. But you seem oddly genuine with an interesting story. Or I'm a naive fool.
She snorted, taking a nibble of her sandwich, waiting for me to respond. I can definitely tell you that you are no fool. We both placed our hands under our chins, an electric current zinging through me. It was uncanny how she was the perfect image of my goddess. Sitting up straight, I assessed her, unable to stop myself from speaking my inner monologue out loud. Are you sure you don't know who I am? Puzzlement filled her face as she tilted her head adorably, studying me. I felt squeamish under her investigation, understanding how she felt. It was apparent she was taking all my words to heart, no matter how maddening they sounded.